Here's some free advice, but you gotta promise not to tell anybody I told you this. Okay? You ready? Stop being such a freaking control freak. I know it sounds harsh. In fact, I'd probably run to the comments right now and type out a whole paragraph explaining myself. If it was for the fact that I'm gone, nah. Take that energy and put it somewhere more productive. Like making another video or mowing my lawn. I haven't decided yet. Maybe I'll do both. But here's the thing, and you gotta hear me out on this. We spend an ungodly amount of our mental and emotional energy wanting to control things that are outside of our power. We plan for every single possibility. Make pros and cons lists. Analyze every angle. And still we're surprised when things don't go according to plan. Like it's almost as if we're shocked when life happens, and that's okay. It's normal. But it also means we're not learning from experience. We're not allowing ourselves to trust in the process. Because our brains are wired to seek patterns. And when we don't see patterns, we assume there aren't any. So we keep reliving the same loops over and over again, thinking if we can just work hard enough, plan well enough, prepare well enough, then we won't have to face all this uncertainty. But here's the truth, the real truth, and I'm only going to say this once, so pay attention. The real trap isn't failure, it's the fear of failure. And worse than that, it's the belief that if we just grip harder, we can somehow avoid it. That's why we build these elaborate Excel spreadsheets with formulas that look like the periodic table to predict every possible outcome. And then we get angry when life throws us a curveball and everything goes sideways. Listen, no one ever promised you certainty. In fact, anyone who promises you certainty is probably trying to sell you something. Your job isn't to cling to a false sense of security. It's to find peace in the present moment, wherever you are. So how do you do that? Well, you start by letting go of the things you can't change. You focus on the things you can control. Your attitude, your effort, your willingness to learn. And as you do this, you will find that the fear of failure starts to fade away because it's replaced with something much stronger, something that makes you unstoppable. Epicurus, one of my favorite philosophers, said it beautifully. As long as you are willing to do whatever it takes to succeed, you should also be prepared to accept whatever it takes to fail. That's the deal. You can't have one without the other. So which part of this deal are you going to choose? Are you going to cling to the false promise of certainty? Or are you going to embrace the beauty of uncertainty and trust in the process? The choice is yours, my friend. But whatever you choose, make sure you commit to it wholeheartedly. Do you want to waste your precious time and energy trying to control every little detail? Because life is messy and unpredictable? And that's what makes it beautiful. It's not the absence of chaos that brings true peace. It's our ability to navigate through it with grace. So let go of the need to be in control and embrace the freedom that comes with letting go. The world needs your unique gifts and talents, too much for you to waste them on trying to be perfect. So go out there and be bold. Take risks. Trust in the process and above all, enjoy the ride because trust me, you're exactly where you need to be right now. So breathe in, let go, and trust. Trust in the journey. Trust in yourself and trust in the universe. Okay, thanks. Bye. Have you ever felt like you're not good enough? It's like you have to keep proving yourself to other people. It's like you have to keep showing them that you're worthy of their love and their acceptance. You're not. You don't have to do that because you're not lacking anything. You already have everything you need. So why do you feel this way? Why do you feel like you have to keep faking it? You feel that way because you've been taught to feel that way. You've been taught to believe that you're not good enough. What? And the funny thing is, you've been taught this by the very people who love you the most. Your family, your friends, your teachers, your colleagues, they've all told you what you should be, how you should behave, what you should say, and you've listened to them. You've tried to be the best version of yourself, but whose definition of the best version of yourself? Not yours, it's theirs. And here's the thing, you can't keep this up forever. You can't keep pretending to be someone you're not forever because eventually you'll lose yourself. You'll lose your identity, your sense of self, your authenticity. So what do? You drop the weight. You stop performing. Stop trying to be someone you're not. I know it's scary. No, it's terrifying. You're afraid of what people will say about you. You're afraid of what they'll think. But you know what? None of that matters. None of it is actually yours. It's borrowed. It's been shaped by the expectations of others, by culture, by fear. And the longer you hold on to it, the heavier it becomes. So what if you let go? What if you stopped chasing and started listening to yourself? to that quiet voice underneath the noise. The one that's been whispering all along, "This isn't who I really am." Are you ready to listen to that voice? Are you ready to stop performing? Because when you finally do, when you let go, you don't lose yourself. You find yourself. You find out who you really are, what you're really about, what you want to do with your life. And it's beautiful, it's liberating, it's terrifying, but it's also exhilarating. So I encourage you to take the risk. I encourage you to let go. I encourage you to stop faking it and start living your life authentically. Stop trying to be someone you're not and start being yourself, because that's where your happiness lies. That's where your fulfillment lies. That's where your purpose lies. Thank you. Stop pretending you don't see it. Stop pretending you don't feel it. That unexplainable itch that life just isn't right. That nudge that something's out of alignment. You ignore it. You tell yourself it's fine, but deep down you know it isn't. And that's where Montaigne's wisdom hits home. Stop pretending to be who you think you're supposed to be, because that's just a game you're playing, and it's not real. That's a lie. And the lie is keeping you trapped. Trapped in a life that isn't yours. Trapped in a career that isn't fulfilling. Trapped in relationships that aren't nourishing. Trapped in a future that isn't yours. We live in a world that tells us the opposite. The louder we perform, the more we achieve, the more we acquire, the happier we'll be. Well, that's just a lie. A lie we keep telling ourselves until it becomes our truth. But here's the kicker. That truth keeps you stuck. It keeps you from truly experiencing life, from taking risks, from following your heart, from embracing uncertainty, from being vulnerable. Keeps you from feeling anything deeply, because feeling is risky. Feeling means you could get hurt. And the path of least resistance is to just keep telling the same story to yourself. I'm fine, I'm happy, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's easier than facing the uncomfortable truth, but it's a hell of a lot less fulfilling. And let's be honest, we all do it. We tell ourselves lies that make us feel safe, comfortable, secure. But those lies become our prison. They limit our potential. They deaden our hearts. They turn our dreams into dust. And that's why it's so damn scary to hear a different story. A story that challenges those lies. A story that calls us to be authentic. To detach. To live life on our own terms. Because then you'd have to face the consequences of the lie. The pain of the truth. The vulnerability of starting over. The uncertainty of not knowing what's next. And that's terrifying. But here's the paradox. Detaching from that terror is where true freedom lies. Because the moment you stop pretending, you're free. Free to be you. Free to explore what actually makes you happy. Free to create a life that's aligned with your values, your passions, your soul. So how do you start living that truth? By becoming aware of the lies you're telling yourself? Are you staying in a job you hate because it pays the bills? Are you keeping a relationship that no longer serves you because it's comfortable? Are you pursuing someone else's definition of success because you're afraid to rock the boat? These are the lies that keep you chained. And the first step to breaking those chains is acknowledging them. Awareness is the beginning of everything. But let's be real. Facing the truth isn't exactly a walk in the park. It's messy. It's painful. It's exhausting. It's terrifying. But you know what's even worse? Living a life full of regret. Wondering what if. Knowing you never really lived. You just existed. So yes, it's scary. But here's the thing. The only way to get to the other side of that fear is through it. You can't detach from the lie without facing it. You can't break the chains without acknowledging their hold. You can't build a new life without tearing down the old one. And yes, that's hard. But here's the promise. On the other side of that heart, on the other side of that fear, there's a life waiting for you. A life that's real, a life that's vibrant, a life that's yours. So let's get practical. What does it look like? How do you detach from a life that no longer serves you? First, you've got to stop defending it. Most people don't detach because they want to. They detach because they have no other choice. They've exhausted every option to make it work. They've tried to fix it, to change it, to improve it, to make it better. But it's just not getting any better. So they left with two options. Keep defending a dying dream, or detach and explore the unknown. And the moment you choose the second option, magic happens. Suddenly you're open to possibilities you never saw before. Opportunities you never noticed. People you never connected with. Ideas that never crossed your mind. That's what detachment opens up. It opens up your mind, your heart, your soul. It allows you to see beyond the current situation, to envision something different, to dare to imagine a new reality. Second, you need to stop fighting life. So many of us spend our days trying to control everything. We micromanage every detail. We worry about everything that could go wrong. We plan for every possible outcome. But here's the secret. Life doesn't need to be micromanaged. It unfolds beautifully when you trust it, when you surrender to it, when you dance with it. Yes, you can plan, you can prepare, you can set intentions, but at some point, you have to let go. You have to trust that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. And if you're struggling, if you're suffering, if you're stuck, it's not because life is against you. It's because you're resisting it. It's because you're not in alignment with who you really are. And no amount of force, manipulation, or control can fix that. The universe doesn't owe you anything. You don't get to demand success, happiness, or fulfillment. It doesn't work that way. You can only find it by surrendering to the flow, by detaching from the outcome, by trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. Finally, you need to stop seeking constant validation. You know the drill. You do something nice, you help someone out, you say a kind word, you lend a helping hand, and you expect praise, appreciation, gratitude. But guess what? You're not getting it. In fact, sometimes you're met with indifference, dismissiveness, even disrespect. And that stings. It hurts. It makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder if it was worth it. But here's the thing. Your actions aren't for everyone. They're for you. They're an offering to life, a gift to the world, an act of kindness. But you're not doing them for the sake of validation. You're doing them because that's who you are. And if someone doesn't appreciate it, that's their loss, not yours. And the moment you internalize that, the moment you detach from the need for external validation, it's the moment you start doing things because they feel right, that's when your true power emerges. That's when you become unstoppable. Because you're no longer seeking approval, affirmation, or applause. You're seeking authenticity, integrity, and alignment. And that's where life takes you on a journey full of unexpected twists, turns, surprises, and detours. But you don't fear it anymore. You embrace it. You welcome it. You trust it. Because you know that wherever life takes you, you're ready. You're detached from the outcome. You're surrendered to the flow. You're committed to your values. And that's where you find your freedom. That's where you find your joy. That's where you find your truth. When we strip away everything else, we know that our deepest fear is the fear of being alone. This story about Sisyphus, who according to Greek mythology was condemned to push an immense stone up a hill, only for it to roll down every time. He neared the top, thus forcing him to start over again each time. When we read this story, we can't help but think, why doesn't he just give up? But the more we think about it, the more we realize that we ourselves are like Sisyphus. Every day we set goals, knowing that even if we achieve them, there will always be another hill to climb, another stone to push. So why do we bother? The answer we find lies in the journey, not the destination. Our purpose in life, we come to realize, is to push the boulder up the hill. For it's in the pushing, the striving, the overcoming of obstacles that we discover who we are, that we find meaning, and that we connect with others. In fact, it's precisely our imperfections, our struggles, and our setbacks that make us human. So then, what's the secret to happiness? The answer, paradoxically, lies in letting go. Letting go of the need to reach the top, of the fear of failure, of the desire to be perfect. In the words of the Stoics, it's not things that upset us. It's our opinions about those things. It's our attachment to outcomes, our refusal to accept imperfection, our belief that we can't possibly be happy unless we achieve a certain level of success. When we stop fighting reality and learn to flow with life, when we focus on the journey rather than the destination, that's when we find true contentment. But it's not easy, is it? Letting go of our attachment to outcomes, to the need for perfection, to the fear of failure. It takes courage, resilience, and above all, perspective. It means shifting our focus from the why to the so what. Why do we care so much about achieving this or that? So what happens if we don't? What's the worst that could happen? And by asking ourselves these questions, we begin to see that most of our suffering is unnecessary, self-imposed. We don't have to be perfect. We can't possibly know what the future holds, but we can choose how we respond to whatever life throws our way. We can choose to embrace the journey, to find meaning in the struggle, to connect with others through our shared humanity. In the words of Epicurus, it's not that life is short. It's that we waste a lot of it. We waste it on chasing the wrong things, on pursuing perfection, on fearing failure. But when we let go of these fears, when we stop striving for something that's just out of reach, when we focus on what truly matters, on the people we love, on the work we do, on the beauty that surrounds us, that's when we start to live life to the fullest. So here's your invitation, a call to stop pushing the boulder up the hill and instead to rest at the top, to detach from outcomes, to embrace imperfection, to find joy in the journey. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that we become passive, that we give up on our dreams, that we settle for less. I'm saying that we need to shift our perspective to redefine success on our own terms, to find meaning in the struggle and to appreciate the beauty of life in every moment. It's not about giving up, it's about letting go. And in doing so, we discover a life that's richer, deeper, and more fulfilling than we ever imagined possible. If you liked this video, you might also like another one, where I talk about the surprising connection between depression and modern society. There's this one quote by the philosopher Montaigne that has been echoing in my mind lately. It said, "The more we handle a situation, the more chaotic it becomes. Serenity is reached by the abandonment of all further control." Now, when I first read those words, I thought he was suggesting that life itself is just a bunch of chaos. And the more we try to manage it, the more messed up it gets. But the more I think about those words, the more I realize they're not just about life in general. They're about a very specific kind of controlling our own stories. You see, there are times in every life where we have to rewrite our story. It means making uncomfortable changes, letting go of relationships that only know the old version of you, walking away from paths that no longer feel true. Even when those paths still bring applause, you'll do it anyway. Because something inside you shifts. And yeah, people won't always understand. They might call you selfish, confused, irresponsible. But let me offer you something radical. You don't owe anyone the version of you that makes them comfortable. Your job isn't to maintain other people's illusions. It's to honor your own evolution. So what does life look like on the other side of letting go? It's quieter at first. You stop chasing. You stop constantly editing yourself to be more palatable. You stop measuring your worth by how busy or productive you are. And instead, you start being present, being honest. You say no more often, not out of defiance, but out of self-respect. You choose rest without guilt. You create from a place of freedom, not pressure. You show up in relationships as your full self, not a curated version. And the most surprising part, life starts working in your favor not because you're forcing it, but because you're no longer in your own way. Opportunities that align with who you truly are begin to appear. The right people, those who see the real you and celebrate it, start to show up. You stop fighting for space in places you were never meant to fit. And maybe for the first time in your life, you feel light. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are whole. That's the paradox Montaigne whispered to the world from his little tower centuries ago, that the more we cling to control, the more chaotic life becomes. But the moment we surrender not in defeat, but in trust, we find something deeper than success. We find peace, we find clarity, we find us. And I know it's scary. It's letting go of the old story, the familiar narrative we've been telling ourselves for years. It's terrifying. It means acknowledging all the parts of you that you've been hiding, all the dreams you've been suppressing, all the truths you've been denying. But here's the thing, the story you're clinging to, the one you think is your story, it was never entirely yours to begin with. It was a collaboration, a co-creation with everyone around you, with society, with expectations, with fears. But the minute you decide to step out of that story, to change it, to let go, you reclaim your narrative. You become the sole author of your own tale. And yeah, that's scary. It's facing the blank page, having to write a new story. It's daunting. But it's also exhilarating. It means you're finally taking control of your life, of your story, of your happiness. But then what? What comes after letting go? A million questions, a million doubts, a million insecurities. What if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if I've been selfish? But here's the thing, none of those questions matter. Because the moment you choose to let go, to step out of the old story, you free yourself from all those doubts. You stop seeking external validation. You stop comparing yourself to others. Stop worrying about what people think because you're too busy figuring out who you are, what you want, what you're capable of. And in that process, you discover something even more profound than success. Discover yourself. Now, this isn't about giving up. This isn't about settling. It's about releasing the illusion. It's about stopping the charade. It's about silencing the inner critic. It's about embracing the unknown. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to stop living for validation? To stop micromanaging your image? To stop fearing the unknown and start meeting it with open hands? Because here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud. You will lose things. You'll lose roles. You'll lose approval. You'll lose pieces of the identity you spent years building. But what you gain is you, the real you. The one who doesn't need applause to feel worthy. The one who can walk away from anything that costs them their peace. The one who knows they're already wholly Vin without the mask. That's the life Montaigne pointed toward. That's the life waiting for you. So what will you choose?